The EMS Avenger podcast is sponsored by Zoll.
But let's say that your service's first pass success rate is 98%. Do
Okay.
you think there's validity to saying, okay, so your first pass success rate is 98%. Can you stand in the middle of Times Square and hold up your cares numbers while you're naked and not have a care in the world? And if you can,
I mean, I'm not doing anything naked. People are going to point and laugh, so I don't want any part of that. Don't you laugh.
but if you can't do that, are
Yeah.
you maybe focused on the wrong things?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm here at ESO's WAVE conference with Dr. Jeff Jarvis, a good friend of mine, and I can think of no one who is more uniquely qualified to speak at an issue that has gotten people just in knots over the last week or so as I've been talking about it, which
Twitter
is,
pitted?
what's that?
Were they Twitter pitted?
They were Twitter pitted, yes, and even slobber knocker.
Oh my God, not slobbering up.
Yeah. And so the discussion is, if someone is not necessarily competent in intubation and you have a cardiac arrest, should they be using an endotracheal tube or an SGA? And the reason why Dr. Jarvis is uniquely qualified to speak about this is, number one, he's a paramedic, so he sees it from our perspective. He's a physician, so he sees it from a physician's perspective. He's a medical director, so he sees it from a medical director perspective. He's a researcher and a prolific airway researcher, so he sees it from that perspective. And he's the medical director of a service that he took over that had admittedly low proficiency in intubation and cardiac arrest, right?
Yeah.
And so when we say in cardiac arrest, if you're not proficient, that you probably should go to SGAs, and people start pushing back and say, well,
Sure.
no, we need to train more.
Right.
I mean, it's not a binary issue, but what's the nuance to that conversation from your perspective?
You bet. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So the question here we have to deal with is an emotional issue. I am frequently guilty of trying to bring data to an emotional argument, and I lose 100% of the time.
Hmm.
What we're dealing with here is an emotional argument about, and I'm a paramedic, I get it. You will get my laryngoscope when you pry it from the cold dead fingers. I understand 100%. We have wrapped our entire being up into the use of a laryngoscope. What are you? Well, I'm a paramedic. What does that mean? It means I'm an intubator. I can intubate. But the problem is that's not why we initially got into this field. We initially got into this field to help our patients.
Yes.
And you have to, at some point, say, what is the benefit for my patient? Because it's about them, it's not about me. And as painful as that may be, it's the right thing to do. We signed up to be servants, which means we put the needs of our patients above the needs of ourselves. What does the data say about endotracheal intubation versus supraclavic? No matter how much I want it to say there is an advantage with intubation, there is just not.
Mhm.
And we have enough randomized controlled trials at this point to say that there is no difference.
And it's high quality data. Yes.
Yeah, randomized controlled trials. This isn't the artisanal observational data.
Right.
This is prospectively collected, validated, good data.
It's not, you can
No
make
difference.
a study say anything.
No,
Right.
no. We just have to accept those of us who intrinsically think paramedics should intubate. And I will tell you, I don't know that you will find an EMS physician, an ER physician, more pro airway than I am.
Absolutely.
More pro intubation than I am. But I think if we want to win the argument about what we should do, we should look at data, and we should look at it from what is in our patient's best interest. So I was the lead author with some incredible researchers on the evidence-based guidelines for airway management.
Mhm.
And we addressed this specific question: endotracheal intubation versus supraglotic for adults with cardiac arrest and for pediatrics with cardiac arrest. Don't even broach the topic with pediatrics, because the data there is probably the highest quality data, even though it could be better. And Dr. Wang and Dr. Gaucher Hill are working on PD part to get it. We're not there yet. We should just use the supraglotic.
Mhm.
Each additional
In pediatric.
in pediatrics,
Yeah.
each additional age or year of age increases your first pass success with intratracheal intubation. If you look at first pass success based on age with supraglottics, no difference. That is a flat line. That's a patient or a paper that I did with Dr. Wampler. So there is no difference in supraglottic success, first pass success, which is, we know, first pass success in cardiac arrest associated with, I believe, a 15, each additional intubation attempt.
Correct.
About a 59% decrease in the odds of survival.
Right.
See link below to a prior video you did.
From a paper out of Seattle. Yep.
So it really matters. Yeah, Murphy.
Yeah.
Great job. It matters. You don't see that change with supraglottics or with endotracheal intubation. And at every specific age group, first pass success is higher with supraglottics than intubation.
Yeah.
But what about adults? So the literature really, even with two large, well-done randomized control trials, Airway 2 and HEART, it shows that intubation does not have better outcomes than supraglottics. And as a matter of fact, HEART showed a 2.8% increase mortality with intubation compared to a King LT. So mortality is not what we want to increase here, right? We want to increase survival. Now, I will pick nits about that all day long. Primarily, the overall first pass success with intubation in that trial,
51.9%.
of which I might add, my service was one of the largest contributors to patients in that study. So the conclusion that we drew in the airway evidence-based guidelines is that if you are looking at a system in adult arrest, if you are really good at intubation, meaning you have a high first pass success, knock yourself out.
Right.
There's probably no advantage of supraglottics over intubation if you are good at it. But if you're not good at it, if your system is not good at it, if you don't have a highly reliable first pass success that is, we don't know the exact number, but I would say above 85%, then you probably should use a supraglottic. I left a system that had a first pass success well above 90% in cardiac arrest. We intubated our cardiac arrest. I came to a system, oh my God, 2,700 people. Our first pass success was, well, I'm not going to say what it was, but it was low.
Okay.
And so was our cardiac arrest survival. I couldn't continue to justify that no matter how much my emotional bonds were attached to intubation.
Sure.
We went to supraglottics, our survival improved.
So let me ask you this though. Let's say that you are super proficient in intubation. Your first pass success rates are 95%.
When you say you, do you mean you as an individual or you as a system?
Well, it could go either way, but let's just talk from a service perspective, okay? Because I don't want an individual to feel targeted.
Sure.
Let's say your system,
and every individual we know has 100% first pass success. Just ask us.
That's what they tell me.
We will tell you. I'm the world's best I don't know about him. I'm the world's best and he's over there saying the same thing. I'm the world's this dude.
What I will say is that when I have produced the chords, a visual of the chords, I've never failed to put plastic between those chords, but I have had plenty of occasion where I have failed to produce the chords. I am not saying that I didn't take my sweet time years ago in doing that when I should have probably just abandoned the effort, right?
Yeah.
That was before I knew better.
Particularly in cardiac arrest, where you can't exactly pre-oxygenate and you can't monitor oxygen saturation.
Right.
Blood pressure.
But let's say that your service's first pass success rate is 98%.
Okay.
Do you think there's validity to saying, okay, so your first pass success rate is 98%. Can you stand in the middle of Times Square and hold up your cares numbers while you're naked and not have a care in the world? And if you can't,
I mean, I'm not doing anything naked. People are going to point and laugh. So I don't want any part of that. Don't you laugh.
But if you can't do that, are you maybe focused on the wrong things?
Oh, absolutely. So if you look at the number needed to treat to get one additional survival, where the money is, high quality, early recognition, early defibrillation, high quality CPR, short response times to cardiac arrest, minimize your pauses, and maybe early epinephrine. Everything else, we're just messing around.
Right.
Epinephrine compared to placebo, the number needed to treat to get one additional survivor is 112. Early defibrillation, 4. So that is where the money is. If you want to improve survival in your community, invest in your EMS system 100%. But you got to invest in your community.
Of
Worrying
course,
about whether
yes.
you intubate or use a supraglottic, you're focused on the wrong head.
Sure. The resuscitation itself is a salvage operation. Like oxygenation almost is by hook or by crook, right? Whereas we get ROSC, and now, yes, the gold standard of airway securement becomes more of maybe a higher consideration there. But even then, maybe it's fine to leave the SGA in, but
a lot of people ask me, because I am so focused on improving survival, the things that our patients care about, whether we care about that, and we all care about survival.
of course,
We also don't want
that's the whole thing, right? Yeah.
Off that laryngoscope. So it is important to stay focused on that. Absolutely. I had a complete brain fart.
Okay,
on
so we
what
were talking about with the resuscitation being more of a salvage operation, and then post-ROSC being more of your gold standard approach.
So saying so focused on cardiac arrest outcomes and saying we're going to go to supraglottics, I get a lot of my partner clinicians saying, well, we will secure the airway with a supraglottic, and that's how we'll manage the arrest. But once we get ROSC, let me intubate. Well, now we're dealing with patients who are not in arrest, and we know what the impact of mortality is of hypoxemia and hypotension. And we deal now with a patient population who has announced themselves as one of the most hemodynamically unstable
Correct.
populations you have.
Right.
The drugs we use to intubate are hemodynamically unstable, no matter what drug you use.
Right.
So you can argue ketamine, you can argue etomidate, you can talk about the RSI trial. All of them have the ability to lower your oxygen saturation.
Right.
Why mess with you're oxygenating well, you're perfusing well? Take 30 minutes and stabilize the damn patient. And then by the time you deliver them to the emergency department, you have a much more stabilized patient that is adequately prepared, to undergo the risk, if you will, of intubation.
That's a really interesting point right there, because it feels like that the people who are saying, okay, I agree with you, but then let's intubate after ROSC.
Right.
Why are we not resuscitating before we're intubating post ROSC? That's probably the most important time ever to resuscitate before you intubate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason is it's an emotional argument. Your arm is my laryngoscope. I'm not let go of this. And it's again about us and not about the patient. And when we change our perspective to what is in the patient's best interest, back off of I'm never going to get better at intubating if you don't let me intubate these cardiac arrest patients. The cardiac arrest patients are not there for us. We're there for them.
That's right.
So I think we all have an ethical argument, an ethical obligation to consider who this impacts most and who we got into this job.
Right.
And we can still intubate unless your system is really good at intubating. In your data, I think you should be using a supraglottic. It's much faster and it's much more successful. And it allows you to focus on the things in cardiac arrest that do make a difference, which is not airway management.
Correct. Now, that's the today problem, which is the patient that's in front of us.
Gotcha.
It is not a mutually exclusive issue to the tomorrow problem, which is training. There's a lot of people who reply to this and say, we just need to be focusing on training. Okay, well, we need to be focusing on the patient that just called 911 that's in cardiac arrest. But yes, we do need to also focus on training. So what is the tomorrow solution for people who lack proficiency and lack the opportunity for proficiency? Because my first year in EMS, I think I intubated 30 people. And most of those people had exacerbation of COPD, exacerbation of CHF.
Right.
And then the following year,
we deployed patients we don't intubate anymore.
Right. And because the following year we deployed CPAP.
Yeah.
The next year, I intubated 6 people, and they were all cardiac arrests.
Yep.
And so the opportunities started dropping. Now, where I am now, we are afforded opportunities to go to the OR all the time to maintain our proficiency, but most paramedics don't get that opportunity. So what do we do?
It is a real challenge, and we're not the first people to encounter this challenge. Let me give you another group of people who had to encounter this challenge. And I deal with this all the time, dealing with my ER colleagues. And by the way, in the ER, you bring me a cardiac arrest that's still fresh, Ross, with a supraglottic in place, I'm leaving that damn thing alone, and I'm going to slap the hand of my resident who says I have to intubate. No, you don't. Leave the supraglottic in place.
It's like the scene in The Departed when he says, I need those codes. And he says, no, you want those codes.
Right, exactly.
I need to intubate. No,
yeah,
you want to intubate.
It's like Ron White says, I don't know how many people it was going to take, but I know how many they were used.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an important distinction. That is an important distinction, the difference between wants and needs. So here's an analogy to what we're saying, because we deal with this with VL all the time. When I'm trying to say we should use VL every time, period, no more excuses, the argument is, well, what if your VL breaks? You have to default back to DL. And an older technology, therefore, we have to be good at this thing that is not as good as the VL.
Okay.
We have burned the ship of DL.
Yeah.
Conclusive evidence that we are better with DL.
Does that mean I should use a twist trocar for IO because I might lose that skill?
Exactly. So here's the analogy that I like to make. Do you know when the Model T was introduced? One of the arguments against adopting that driving thing is people would forget how to learn how to ride horses. You grab your average American, ask them how long they've been riding horses. Nobody has any clue how to ride a horse anymore.
Right.
I know how to ride a horse because I'm a hick and I'm old. You just don't see that anymore. People get to work just fine without horses. The technology has moved on. Supraglottics are they're really fast, really successful. EMTs do it really well. It's an EMT skill in my system.
Sure.
So I think how are we ever going to get good at it when you have a better, and I don't think we're at a place where you have a better technology. So I'm not saying that, but I can foresee a future where we do. And then we're just going to have to get over it. It is better for our patients to use this future, whatever technology.
Sure. Yeah.
Happens all of the time.
The technology I can envision is that you actually are holding something that has a little trigger on it, and you get it in there, and then you actually bullseye the cords, and then AI just directs the tip as you get it in there.
Or better yet, remove the human from the situation altogether. So I had the pleasure, a friend of mine is Dr. David Haggerty. He is an engineer, and I'm going to get the UC school wrong. University of California. I want to say it's Santa Barbara. I'm a Texan. No offense, Californians, but all of your state looks the same to me. He did some stuff with robotic intubation. And what he has developed is essentially a supraglottic device. You place it, and then you just push it down. And this little robotic thing goes in, expands a balloon, blocks off all the non-accessible space, and directs the tube into the only hole that's left.
Yeah.
So there is no human visualization at all. That's still a pretty crude version, but you can imagine it ain't going to take many versions until there's just a robot doing this for you, and it's better than you are.
Yeah.
I would not Waymo is all over Austin where we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
My Luddite ass is not going to get in a Waymo, despite the fact that it's a much better driver than I am. And as a red-blooded American man, that hurts me to say.
Right.
Freaking Waymo's better than I am.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to lose that driving skill.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or something else, because I'm pretty sure that car is directly related to my testosterone.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. Jeff, I appreciate you talking this out with me. I think I'm probably going to have to drop this as a little mini podcast, but that brings a lot of nuance to the discussion, and appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. As always, Jimmy, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.